Hello, my name's Venus, the liar lied lyingly, and I have not uploaded in a while. And I know I said that the next upload would probably be part 2 of that one, rambling about my OCs video. I did not want to make that because I don't really have a lot of art of the setting that they live in, because I don't like to draw backgrounds. But I swear I will make that eventually. Anyways, today's video is, just random OC or, character tropes that I genuinely really don't like. Disclaimer, this is my opinion. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to your very wrong opinion. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the second I started recording, my mic stopped working. That's great. This thing's 3 years old, but it had been working fine. Whatever. Let's actually get into the video now. You know what I mean. Vampire characters with all the positives of being a vampire, but none of the negatives. This character doesn't burn in the sun, is extremely attractive, doesn't drink blood or need to be invited in, can see their reflection, etc. At that point, they're basically just a shapeshifter with pointy teeth, and that's fine. That's cool, actually, but it's not a vampire. Don't call it a vampire if it's just objectively not a vampire. And, the vampire mythology is really interesting, or at least very funny, the having to count every single seed that's thrown on the ground. I've actually seen some interesting plays on that, like a joke where someone tries to throw seeds on the ground for a vampire, or to distract a vampire, and instead of, bending down to count each one individually, the vampire looks at the ground, says, 277, and then looks back up at the character. There's a lot more interesting things you can do with the vampire's drawbacks than not, so it just annoys me when they're not included. So imagine this. You're watching a show, and it's got a cast of all of these really interesting supporting female characters. They all have their own gimmicks and interesting hobbies and personalities, and instead, this show focuses on the singular dude in the cast, and he's not even particularly interesting, especially compared to the women he is surrounded by, and is even kind of an asshole, but for whatever reason, he's the writer's pet character and gets all the damned attention. Even if he's not the main character, he might as well be, because he somehow manages to get more screen time than the actual MC. To be clear, I'm not talking about Jax from the amazing Digital Circus, but he's not a bad example of this. I don't hate him. I would like to find out what was up with him, Kaufmo, and Ribbit. It's just that I think the other characters could do with more screen time, and he could do with less. Okay, with this one I'm being a little bit facetious. I don't actually mind a character thinking they're a normal kid, but then finding out that they're not. It's more so when the story opens with them literally saying something like, "Hi, I'm Jane, and I'm a totally normal girl, except I'm actually a hybrid vampire fairy princess with draconic ancestry," or something like that. Girl, you just said you were normal. That is objectively not normal. It's not bad per se, just overdone and kind of annoying. You're not a normal person. Embrace it. You could at least say something like, "I'm not normal, but no one else has to know that." I'm looking at you, Evelyn Dever. It's not so bad in a vacuum. I mean, sometimes people have unfortunate names, and even in the right circumstances I could understand the characters trusting a guy named I Am a DeVillain, but especially if the character also acts obviously villainous, it's just kind of dumb and annoying. I don't mind it in the case of Cruella de Vil, because she isn't a twist villain. She's evil in the beginning, and evil she is. But if it's a twist villain, then I get annoyed. There's foreshadowing, and then there's just the author spoiling their own story. In my opinion, naming a twist villain something like, "I need to stab people," is the author spoiling their own story. I don't like it. I fucking hate Minetta! I don't know where that came from. Anyways, I don't feel like I need to explain this one all that much. These characters are gross, annoying, and creepy. I don't mind the joke occasionally about a character finding their partner or a crush or whatever sexy or being into a certain thing, but it's not funny when it happens so often. It's that character's defining trait. And it's normally, a good guy character, too. Why is the villain from Ranma 1/2 the exception to this? I don't want to follow, as, a main, supposedly likable character, a pervert, a weird fucking creepy pervert. I don't like them. To be frank, this one isn't even that common, or even really a trope. I just wanted an excuse to complain about it. But if I had a nickel for every time I read a fantasy book where the main character was named Bristol, I'd have like 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. I don't like it. It makes me think of bristles on a toothbrush or like hay. It's just unpleasant sounding and makes me think of itchy, scratchy stuff, and that weird brush thing they have at hotels for your shoes is not the first thing I should think of when I look at your MC's name. And like, I guess this would fall under, like, stupid names in general. I can deal with, like, overly flowery names, but, like, character names work best when they're both easy to remember and not super out there, and, you know, work as, like, a sensible name that you might, you know, meet someone called. Which, yeah, there are people with wild names. I met a kid named Xavier Silverspoon in real life. He seemed kind of embarrassed of it. But, like, you know, like, but Xavier Silverspoon, I feel would work as a character name, because it's memorable, and, you know, I've met Xaviers. Xavier's a fairly common name. It's just his last name that made it, like, really crazy and out there. But then there's names like, what's a example? Tuki de la Creme from Model Land. Yeah, that's a bad name. Don't name your character that. It's ridiculous, it doesn't really make sense, and frankly, I don't even find it that memorable, because I did read that book, and I thought it was not very good. And also, it was not a particularly memorable name. I had to look it up. I mean, I remember it being bad, I just didn't remember what it was. So yeah, that's the last thing you want your readers to think about when you name your characters. And that's the end of the video, because I ran out of things to complain about. So, hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.